What's up, Bravehearts community? This is Sean Heineman, your premier pre-engagement coach, with another segment of It's Scary to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. I have a special guest with me today. Let me introduce you to our guest. She is a mother of two boys, a licensed clinical social worker, author of the book Helping Grace and Grieve, which sounds great. We'll talk about that later. And the owner of Sweet Sugar Baby Holistic Skincare, which is facial and body scrubs, body oils, and CBD cream, which I myself need to get some. I'm getting a little older. Bravehearts community, let's show some love to Shivani Jones. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I am awesome. Thanks again for taking some time out of your schedule to be a guest on today's podcast. Let me just say to the Bravehearts community, I was listening to her podcast today or the other day, and I want you to make sure you put your plug in as well. But this topic on emotional incest, when she talked about it, I said she went there. She decided to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I said, well, I have to bring her on the show to discuss this in detail because I have a little feedback I wanted to talk about myself, but I figure who would be better than for Shivani to discuss this topic. So, yeah, Shivani, so how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's a wonderful day.
It is. It
It's a
is.
wonderful day.
It is. This topic, what made you decide to tackle a very controversial topic like emotional incest?
Because I'm a woman, okay? And I date men, right?
Yeah.
And I have two little boys as well. So it's something that I'm aware of because I am a licensed therapist, but I see it a lot in our community, and I see how it affects the women that I come into contact with because they're dating men as well, right? So I see the effects of emotional incest in their adult relationships with their partners, right? And I've also dated someone and been with men that were raised in an emotional incest environment. So it has impacted my relationships, as an adult. I'm a widow. So I became a widow in 2017. So, and at that time, my boys were 2 and 3 years old. The 3 year old was turning four, like the next month. So I had like a 2 and 4 year old. And when people would come up and check on me, and they would say, hey, and they would talk to the oldest one, which was like four, you got to be the man of the house. And just that comment that's part of emotional incest, just kind of putting that burden of a man on a child. And it's just, I would correct them immediately. This is a kid. This is a child. He's not the man of the house. I'm not robbing him of his childhood because something traumatic happened to me within my adulthood. So it's a very common thing that I personally see. And I know other people are affected by it, but I know sometimes you don't have a name to put on it. And sometimes you're not aware that it's something that's unhealthy until you learn more about the topic. So I wanted to bring that to my listeners because it's something that we should learn more about for sure.
Yeah. And can you give a little more detail? And I should have asked you about that earlier, a little more detailed description as far as emotional incest, because some people it can throw off. And you talked about being the man of the house, because I know I've been put in that same boat. Are you tired of dating the same person, just different faces? Are you tired of people wasting your time in this whole dating process? Do you desire to marry one day? I created this 5-part video series entitled Dating Intentionally, 5 Ways to Know They Are the One for You. You can get it now in the comment section below. You will see it is 5, the number 5, ways to know podia.com. I created this 5-part video series with you in mind. Now let's get back into today's podcast episode. You're the man of the
So,
house.
emotional incest is also called enmeshment, right? And basically, it means that an adult parent, either man or woman, mom or dad, is putting a certain level of their needs onto the child, right? It's very commonly seen in the Black household. If the mom is a single mother, she's raising her children, and she's kind of needing all of this support, emotional support from her children. So she's replacing the man that was there. Maybe the man left, maybe the man died, maybe the man ran off with someone else, who knows? But now she's expecting her children to fulfill those emotional needs. And it robs the child of their innocence and robs them of their childhood. It puts them in a place that is very unhealthy, and it actually makes them mature a little older than they need to be, because they're not even allowed to have regular kid emotions. They think they're the man of the house, so they kind of start to exude all these exaggerated masculine emotions and characteristics. And it's like, you're 10, relax, relax, but they just feel like I have to be the man, and they don't know what that means. So they're kind of portraying this image of a man, and they're being that man to their mother, which is completely, that's where the emotional incest title comes from, because it's completely inappropriate within that relationship.
Yeah.
So that's what it means. That's the definition of it.
Yeah, thanks for breaking that down, because I just, for the listeners and the viewers,
Yes.
want to, because they like, what are they talking about?
It sounds crazy, but it's a real thing.
And it's more common than we think, right?
It's very common. People don't know that it's inappropriate, and they think that it's okay to kind of rely on their children in this way. They think it's okay. It's a natural thing. And I don't know if it's a cultural thing for us, that it's just passed down, because a lot of our culture, there is an absence of fathers within the household. So you have a lot of mothers raising boys into men that are thinking that this type of behavior within their relationship with their mother is appropriate, and it's really it's not.
Yeah, because I know when I was listening to your podcast, it just kind of took me back to my childhood. And I grew up, I was birthed out of adultery, like
Okay.
So it was one of those things where my dad was never, he came over, but he never was like there in the house, like living with us, So when he wasn't there, I had to be the man of the house, because I had to help raise my little sister while my mom worked. So she's like man of the house, this whole unspoken language where I'm just like, okay, I'm the man of the house. I guess I'll just emulate what I see on TV, what I think a man should be.
Absolutely. And it definitely robs you. And I see that a lot with the oldest raising the youngest. And it's kind of like they have this large burden of responsibility. And it's like, you're 12 years old. You should not be raising a 2-year-old. Like, growing up, it's like, can you hang out? No, I got to watch my baby sister. And it's like, that's not your kid. But a lot of times we do take on those roles, because somebody has to do it. And in our minds, we have to do it because we have to help mommy out. So
yeah, it's sad, and like you say, it's more common than we think. But I wish I guess we're gonna talk about that. How how does emotional incest affect children later in life? I know you talked about it a little bit. And does it affect boys and girls the same? Is it the same effect?
So it does affect boys and girls the same, to a certain extent.
Okay.
Because it matures them quicker, right? So boys, like you say, you kind of have to have this exaggerated version of what a man is based off of what you see on TV, and TV is not realistic, right? It does the same thing for young girls. Young girls often mature, and they, the term, oh, they're fast. And it's like, they're fast because you're putting them in this role of being a little woman, right? Of having to raise their kids. So maybe they think that they're more mature, so they can at 14 date an 18 or 19-year-old, because they feel like, well, I'm just mature for my age, because they've been around a lot of adults. A lot of adults may not have censored their communication, because they're like, oh, well, she's 11. I talk about this with her. Or they might talk about their adult relationships with the 11-year-old. So the girl may just, be fast, and the boy may be fast as well. So they might be a little more promiscuous as they're growing up, because in their mind, they're not kids anymore. They don't hang out with the kids and play dolls. They're peers with their parents, so they feel like they're adults. So it can affect them the same way. But into adulthood, the way that it impacts adults that were raised in that type of environment, multiple ways. So there's a fear of abandonment, right? They have a
Mm,
fear of abandonment because obviously maybe somebody in their life left, so they have that fear.
mm,
It's hard for them to trust other people. There is also a lack of setting boundaries, right? Because they don't
mm,
know what boundaries is. They've boundaries have never been modeled to them, right? Their mom definitely don't set boundaries because they kind of treat them like they're an adult and they're not, right?
mm,
They need constant validation. They need someone to constantly be there and constantly say different things to make them feel better. And they struggle with uh, being assertive. They struggle with standing up for themselves. They struggle with putting their foot down, you know? So it definitely impacts them growing up. And then also, you know, when they have these adult relationships, if they don't know how to set boundaries, that means that that parent that they're, you know, in an emotional incest relationship, that parent thinks that they're the third person within the relationship,
mm.
because they're not saying, mom, hey, let me put my foot down, let me set this boundary. So it becomes like a weird dynamic within the relationship, because the mama think that the mama make the decisions with the son, you know?
Mm,
So
mhm.
it's 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 toxic. It's
Yeah,
toxic. It's
yeah.
toxic. Hmm.
Because and how well, yeah, I don't want to get ahead of myself. It's just that I'm excited about this topic.
Hmm.
Because it does affect a lot of relationships into adulthood.
Absolutely.
And there was, I think you talked about on your podcast that one episode of Ayana with Ace Hood and his mom,
Yes.
perfect example.
That was a perfect example. A lot of times the mothers have groomed their sons to be the man of their dreams, right? That's kind
Mm,
of, you know, they're getting this emotional fulfillment from their son. So obviously as the son grows up, that's the mother becomes the mother that is always bad mouthing the girlfriend, right? No girl is good enough for her son because her son is perfect. um Always kind of wants to be involved in the decision making within that relationship. And the
mm,
mother feels like jealousy towards him having a girlfriend, because she feels like, okay, well, you're not going to be able to meet my emotional needs because now you have a girlfriend and you're actually meeting her emotional needs
mm,
or the financial needs. A lot of times, you know, the sons get 16, 18, 20, and they're still helping financially with their mother because the mother has relied on them throughout the whole time. So they have this in their mind, this obligation to provide for their mom, and I'm gonna take care of my mom, and I'm gonna buy her a car, and I'm gonna get her a home when I get rich, and all these different things. And it sounds great, but you know, when you get married, you're supposed to leave and cleave. So mama gotta find her own man, you know, and that is where a lot of the conflict came from with Ace Hood and his mom, because
mm.
his mom was really angry that he put his wife first.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, classic example.
Yeah.
Because and I know some guys who have that dynamic with their mom,
Hmm.
and it's almost like if you tell them about it, they have no idea.
Yeah.
They're almost oblivious to it, and
Yeah.
it's just like, wow, maybe it's because they're in it that they don't
They're
see it.
in it. They're
Mm-hmm.
in it. And that's how they were raised. So when you're raised in a certain environment,
Yep.
that's what you know. You
Mm-hmm.
don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. You think, well, you trying to come between me and my mama. And it's like, no,
Yeah.
I love your mama too, but your mom is not the third party within our relationship. She shouldn't feel comfortable with making decisions about what we have going on, you know. And that's where the a tough time creating the boundaries. That's where the boundary issues come from as well, not being able to really set those boundaries with your parent.
Mhm. Yeah, boundaries are very important. Have you read Boundaries by Henry Cloud and John Townsend?
Not yet, but that's on my list though. I've seen it and I'm just like, oh. I don't know if I'm ready yet. I don't know if I'm mature enough for that book.
Yeah, because it's going to push some buttons for real.
Yeah.
And I always bring that up on the show because, boundaries, of course, is kind of a buzzword, like toxic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But very few of us know how to set them, and very few of us know how to bring it up uh, before somebody breaks the boundary.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
It boundary setting, it can be very difficult
Mhm.
to do, especially if you are used to this certain toxic style of relationship. So it's two people within that relationship. So your mom has no idea that this is inappropriate. And
Mhm.
as you grow up, it's our responsibility as adults to say, you know what, maybe she didn't get it right. Maybe she did her best, right? She doesn't know that that was toxic, because the older we are,
Mhm.
we're more educated sometimes than our parents. So
Yeah.
she just did what she thought was right. But as we learn, okay, this is not the way that things should be,
Mhm.
or as we develop relationships with people that are valuable to us, we have to create those boundaries. Because if not, then you will never have a successful, healthy relationship with a romantic partner,
Mhm.
because there's no boundary set.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are there so many single parent homes?
You tell me. You're the man. You're the man here. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Um,
You're good.
it's a number of reasons. It's a number of reasons. One reason is systematic racism. It's a societal issue with our black men being prosecuted and being sent to jail more than our other counterparts,
Mm-hmm.
so there's that, right? And I'm not saying that, if they do a crime they shouldn't go to jail, but the way that they're punished, the amount of time that they're punished, they're getting more time and crucial sentences for things that their counterparts will be slapped on the wrist for, right?
Yeah.
There's that. Also, sometimes the family unit isn't valued, right? The family
Mm-hmm.
unit isn't valued. And I'm not going to say it's not valued the way that it was valued back then, because back then, uh our parents, our mothers, our grandparents, they endured a lot to keep the family together, and a lot of times the endurance was, it looks like, oh, you've been married 50 years, but you don't realize that that 50 years has been a tough 50 years. And they couldn't leave, right? They didn't have the resources, they didn't have the education, they didn't have, they had 8 kids. How are you leaving your partner with 8 kids and he's the sole provider of all 8 of them, right? So now, as women are growing and maturing more. One second.
Mm-hmm.
I have kids. I'm sorry about that.
Good.
But as black women, we are the most educated population in the world. So we are now no longer taking anybody's crap, and we are understanding our worth. And not saying that men are not treating us right, but it's not a matter of I have to stay, because if I don't stay, I would not financially survive, leaving my partner. So now that we have our own money, we have our own education,
Mm-hmm.
we are able to make our own rules, and we're able to say, this is not serving me, so I no longer want to be a part of this relationship. But also, like I said, a lot of times we are creating children, and we're not in a married environment, so it's not looked down upon anymore, which I don't know if it should be or not. I'm a child, out of wedlock, which I can't say anything about. Children are a blessing.
Of course.
However, um, it can create an issue, because raising your children when you're not in some type of family environment can be very tough for the kids, and financially, it can put you in a bad place, right? It can, as a single mother, as a single father, it can put you in a very bad place financially. So a lot of times we are working more, so the kids are home by themselves more. There's not as much discipline, there's not as much guidance for our young men and our young women. So I can't really answer why there are so many single households. I wish I knew, but I just, now in our generation, I don't think that it's valued anymore. I don't think that people value
Mhm.
marriage. They don't value, working together. It's like a microwave society. If I don't like your attitude, I can scroll and find me a new you, and I don't have to work on this relationship. I don't have to put the energy into building and uplifting our family. I can just get me somebody else because you're not acting right. And
Mhm. Yeah.
that's what it is now, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I mean, well, however you see it is how you see it. I, really wanted to see what your opinion was,
Mhm.
considering with this topic,
Right.
because I see it more with moms and sons than I do with, say, dads and daughters.
Mm-mm.
What I'm saying? And that's just from what I see. So
Yeah.
my view can be very skewed in that area. But I will say that I was doing some research on single parent homes, and they are actually the second largest demographic when it comes to the way households are set.
Really?
Yes, the first one is blended families. Blended
Blended.
families are the new family,
Oh,
and
that's
then
interesting.
yeah, and then number two, and this is from like census.gov, so this isn't
Okay.
just from Pookie and Ray Ray blog. you know so that's number one. Number two is single parent homes,
Okay.
and then the third one is like the nuclear family.
Mm,
So society has really changed. It used to be the nuclear family.
right.
You used to have a kind of trickle down system. You possibly went through a divorce or whatever, and then you had the blended family because you might have remarried, and then single parenting. So now it's flipped on its head now.
That's tough.
Yeah. So we live in a different day. So that's why I think it's important that we discuss topics like this, that we can help a generation from now. Who knows if somebody can watch this video 15 years from now, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's important that we put this kind of content out there. If you aren't aware of having emotional incest with your child, how do you recognize it?
There's many ways. So a lot of, like, honestly, when you're involved in it, sometimes it takes someone outside of that enmeshment, right? You're
Mm,
involved in it. A lot of times our behavior isn't, there's nothing wrong with it because it's not impacting anybody. But the moment it impacts somebody, that's when it's brought to our attention, right? So sometimes we're not going to say, oh, ding, 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 I'm having an emotional incest relationship with my kid. Let me cut that out. Because a lot of people don't have that insight, right? A lot of people don't, they're doing it so they don't realize that it's something inappropriate with it.
mm,
um I feel like the way that you know is, or the way that you can recognize it in other people, because maybe you have a sister that is a single parent, so you want to make sure that she's not raising the kids, in an inappropriate way. So a lot of times you will hear a mother say, oh, that's my best friend, right, referring to her kid. That's my best friend, right? A lot of times that parent will um lack boundaries and talk about adult conversations and adult topics with the child, right? Saying things that the child is not emotionally mature enough to handle. Like you said, an 11-year-old babysitting the two.
one.
So you would notice that the mother puts a lot of responsibility on, on that single child. You would also notice if a mother is also showing that one child favoritism and kind of allowing that child to get away with things that they shouldn't get away with, because in their mind, this is my best friend, this is my buddy. And just the child being just inappropriate, and the parent not disciplining the child because they feel like they're their peers. So
Mhm.
it can be a lot of emotional incest going on if you notice certain behaviors, like the child is very, very mature for their age. So
Mhm.
sometimes you can start looking at that dynamic that way.
Yeah, because you do see the parents that's like invested so heavy in their kid that
That part too.
yeah, right.
That
They
part too.
because there's healthy parenting, right? And
There
but
is.
then there's this part where they just cross the line, like
Right.
this my girlfriend or this is
Right.
my.
And they know all the business. They know
Yeah.
everything that's going on. They're, oh, what about Johnny? And what about and they're like really involved in the child's life. And it's inappropriate. Like, you're an adult. You should, get your own friends. So
Yeah.
it can be very, you can see it too. It can be very inappropriate.
Yeah, because I've seen that before where kids, they're
Mhm.
like 11 and 12 and they talking about stuff. I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's
They
grown people
get
talk.
exposed to a lot, but they think that they're a little adult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How can a parent break the habit of emotional incest? What does that look like? How can they break it? Okay, because now somebody was
They
able to
can read
talk to
it.
them and recognize
Now
it. Yeah.
they're aware. They watch this video, so they're aware now.
Yeah.
The way that you can break it is through therapy. Just, having someone that is non-biased that you can speak to about maybe some of your concerns and what your needs are, and just speaking with another person that can help maybe provide some of that emotional support, right?
Mhm.
Another way that you can help it is by getting adult friends, making sure that you have a good girlfriend or a good guy friend that you can, if you're having emotional concerns, or you need someone to chat with or to talk with or to hang with, that you're doing it with another adult. That's going to be very, very important. And just making sure that you set clear boundaries with your children, right? Your children aren't your friends. They need to have discipline. They need to have boundaries. You shouldn't be keeping secrets or telling them, hey, keep this secret for me. It's just really creating healthy boundaries for your kids and allowing your kids to create their own identity, right? Not you telling them and controlling every aspect of their life because they need to do exactly what you are telling them to do. It's respecting their boundaries and respecting them as little individuals. They're not their father, right? They're not, somebody that you miss. And as much as they may look like their father, they're not their father. So you cannot just replace the dad with the kid. So it's just being aware of that and seeking those emotional needs through your adult relationships. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, because I know moms, they love their boys,
Hmm.
you know.
Love
So,
them, love them to pieces. But
yeah,
they're going to be someone's man, right? And
right.
hopefully you want them to be a good man, right? You want to feel proud that they are, now taking over a household in an appropriate time and space, right? And
Right.
for me, my biggest thing is I want my kids to be kids. I don't want them to be my man. I got,
Mhm.
people that I can fulfill those needs with. I don't want them to feel like they have to come and save the day. And I think sometimes with boys or with children, they're naturally going to want to help out, right?
Yeah.
My son is like, mom, because I'll tell them, turn the lights off, turn the lights off. I'm that mama, turn the lights off. And my son is like, well, how much is the light bill? I want to help you pay the light. I'm like, no, 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 no. I got that. You don't worry about that. You just be a kid. You run around and play. You keep
Right.
your dollars to yourself, but I do want to make sure I create clear boundaries. Mommy is an adult. Mommy is handling this. You be a kid. You play. When you become an adult, you can take care of mommy then.
Yeah, right.
But for right now, your only job is to go to school and to be happy. That's it.
Mm, yeah, that's good. And kids deserve that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
They deserve it, and unfortunately we kind of live in a day where everybody is so friendly that there are no boundaries, and you just like, oh my God, you almost worry about the next generation.
Right.
But yeah, how do you parent, and this is something, because as I was doing research on you and preparing for the show, how do you balance all of this? Like, you got businesses, you got podcasts,
Mhm.
you work, you're a mom of two boys. How do you balance that? Because I'm struggling, and I have a wife with three kids, and I'm on the struggle bus. So
Listen, you popping those videos out though. I'm very proud of you. You doing it.
thank you, thank
I was
you.
gonna ask you, how do you do all these videos? I drink a lot of wine. No, I'm just joking. No,
Hey, I love red wine, by the
no, no.
way.
I enjoy it recreationally, but no, I try to balance my life out. I really, really try to balance my life out. And balancing your life is making sure that you prioritize your needs first. So, I'm the self-care bestie. I am just a huge advocate for self-care, right? So I make sure that I take care of myself first. The kids, I'd be like, y'all go and sit down while I go and take this bubble bath, or while I go and relax for a moment if I need to do that. I read a book recently. It's called The 5 a.m. Club.
Mhm.
Revolutionized my whole life, and the concept is basically you wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, which is very hard for a lot of people, but if you want to be the best, you have to do something different. So I wake
Yes.
up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I exercise every morning. I journal in the morning, and then I do something inspirational. And what that does is it just sets the tone for your entire day. And I've noticed that since I've been doing that, my moods are happier. I got a little more energy.
Mhm.
I can get some things done. But there are some things that I just can't get done. And I am gentle with myself. I try my best, but at the same time, that laundry ain't gonna kill nobody. Okay. So it's just being realistic, but doing what you can when you can.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome because I was saying the other day I put this on Twitter and I was talking about how when my wife is with the boys because she's dropping them off at school and daycare, I'm working nights. I come home, I'm home by myself, and I'm thinking, here's the perfect time for me to journal, to
Mm-hmm.
meditate,
Yeah,
to saturate the home with prayer before they even get home. So when they get home, it's a peaceful home because I done already set the tone.
there you go.
Um, yeah, right. So, yeah, kudos to you for that because I was just like,
It's a lot.
yeah,
I have great family support. I
okay,
do have
awesome,
great family support. I have a wonderful man that is just amazing. He steps
awesome.
up and just helps me in so many ways. But I do think it's important to have that village, because it does take a village to help you raise your kids and to, give them a balanced life. But also outsourcing when you can. If you can have somebody come in and clean the house, sometimes I have somebody to come in and clean the house. It's something that's worth it. And for me, that's self-care. If I can get somebody to come in and clean the house, that's self-care for me, because that gives me time to be with my kids, right? Opposed
Mhm,
to, scrubbing the house all day and the kids are like entertaining themselves. So,
mhm,
that to me, that's the types of things that are worth it for me.
mhm. Awesome. And one last question because I heard you say something, and I'm just thinking because to me, you're breaking all of I would say traditional. A lot of times when I hear things,
Hmm.
and you're bold about it. So you said you put yourself first.
Period.
How and don't get me wrong, I love it. And I
Uh-huh.
wish moms would put themselves because I was reading a book. I can't remember something about women and anger. And
Mm.
she was talking about how she talked about how women are valued based on how deep they can love and
Mm.
what they can do for other people. So they're
Mm.
taught this from their mom, like your value is in children, your value is in a career, opposed to you are valuable for who you are.
Right. Um, that and that goes into the great debate of the feminine and the masculine energy as well, because if and I know you are around, so you understand the huge debate that's going on every single day on Twitter, which is the woman is just so masculine because she has to do all these different things, she can't stop all these different things. So I know for me, prioritizing myself is how I maintain and stay in my feminine energy. I think that culturally, our parents, as a Black woman, my mom has taught me to be independent and strong Black woman, right? And take care of myself and all these different things. And that didn't help me, growing up. I did that, right? And I was beat down, tore up, and just shot out, right? But as I learned to say, I'm going to get my nails done, I'm going to take care of myself, and really stood firm in that. That's when all of the blessings flowed. My like people want to help you, and they enjoy being there to provide different things for you and things like that. So putting yourself first can be a concept that a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, but what about your kids? What about those kids? Okay. You cannot pour from an empty cup, and your kids will benefit the most when you are happy, healthy, when you are thriving, when you are moving in your purpose, when you are at peace, when you have confidence, right? That's when you are your best self. That's when your marriage thrives because you're happy within yourself. That's when your children benefit from, oh, mommy's happy. Yeah, I'm happy. Come on, let's go and run around and play. But when you're beat down, busted, and disgusted, there is no energy, right? You can't play with your kids because you're worried about something that happened last week at work. You can't have intimate conversations with your spouse because you're so wound up because you haven't went to the gym in 3 weeks, and you're tired, right? Your body is sluggish, right? You're not healthy. So it sounds radical to say put yourself first over the kids, put yourself first over your husband, over your spouse, over all these different things.
Mhm.
But they benefit when you do put yourself first, right? And you benefit. I feel like nowadays we want to earn our leisure, right? We want to earn our rest. So it's like, I'm gonna run myself down and now I can just sit down. But that's not a peaceful rest. You're in the hospital because your blood pressure is shot up to the sky because you haven't been taking care of yourself on a consistent basis. So that's why I'm so big on self-care. That's why I started my self-care business, Sweet Sugar Baby, because I understood after my husband died, I was like, it's really on me. If I don't take care of myself, my kids aren't going to have anybody. So I understood the importance. And it's not just physically, going to the gym, but it's making sure that mentally you are stable, right? Mentally, I got a psychiatrist, psychologist, I got everybody on call. If something is going on with me, even mentally, I have someone that I can reach out to. But now I feel like I've never been happier, right? I've never been as energized. I've never been as fine as I look now. Like I'm on my A game, but that's because it's all about me, and when you make yourself a priority, even in relationships, your partner, they benefit from that and they honor that, right? My boyfriend, here babe, I know you need to go to the to get your nails done, here you go. Like, he honors that. Or if I call him and say, look, I'm beat down, he will come, okay, I got the kids, you go and lay down, you don't worry about anything, I'm going to take care of this, and your job right now is to recover and to get some rest, right? But he understands that I prioritize myself, so if I need help, he's going to be there to provide it. So it's a beautiful thing, and I'm teaching my mom how to prioritize herself. Like, the roles have shifted, but it has a lot to do with the feminine and the masculine and all those things as well. But it's also just understanding that you deserve it,
Yeah.
men and women, you deserve to be happy and whole. And just because you're married, that doesn't mean that you neglect yourself to now cater to your partner. You have to make sure that you are well enough so that you don't put the burden of, you don't feel sick, now they got to take care of you on top of the kid. It really, it benefits the whole household, and it benefits our community as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's a whole show. So yeah, it's a whole show within itself. So much I want to say, but I'm
We
going to save that for another time.
bring me back.
Yeah, yeah, I'm going to bring you back for sure. Thanks again for having me as a guest on your show as well. So,
Absolutely.
let everyone know how they can get in touch with you, Shivani.
Okay, I'm everywhere, y'all. So you can find my holistic self-care business. It is called Sweet Sugar Baby, and it's sweetsugarbaby.com, and that's sugar without the R. I'm from the South, so it's sugar down here, You can definitely tune into my podcast. My podcast is called Self-Care After Dark, and it is on Apple, it's on Google, it's on Anchor as well. I haven't done video yet, but maybe one day. And recently, I talked about it in my last episode. I created a daily journal. I
Ooh.
created a daily. This is new. This is you're getting the exclusive, and this is actually on Amazon right now. It just went through the process with them, and it's called A Moment for Me Daily Journal. And this is just a way that you can document on a daily basis. Journaling has been amazing for me because it sets the tone for my day. So journaling is where I set my intentions, I write my affirmations, I can put what I'm grateful for. And then I can also just write my goals and my dreams and all of those things on a daily basis. So it keeps you on track with what you want to be, who you want to be, and how you want to present yourself to the world. So this is brand new, and it's called A Moment for Me Daily Journal, and it's on Amazon right now, and I'm super proud of it.
Yeah.
But I'm everywhere. I'll send you my links, but I'm also on Twitter, Self Care After D1, and Sweet Sugar Baby, one Sweet Sugar Baby on Twitter. So come and follow me.
Yes, for sure. Well, Brave Hearts community, you heard it here. Make sure you connect with Shivani, buy her products. She has a lot of great stuff going on. I'm glad to be connected to her as well, because I'm only going to bring you the best on the Scary to Remarry show. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. For those who haven't subscribed yet, share this video with a friend, because this is a topic that's worth addressing. And don't forget that if you're listening to this via podcast, that you leave a rating and review. And if you do leave a review, I'll give you a shout out on the show as well. So this is Sean Heineman with special guest Shivani Jones. And
Yes.
take care, people. Be blessed.
Bye.